There's a name out there who's suddenly become the far right's latest boogeyman. He's a guy named Jim Baker. Up until last Tuesday, he was Deputy General Counsel for Twitter. Before that, he worked various roles at the Justice Department, including as General Counsel for the FBI from 2014 to 2018. Major jobs at Twitter and the FBI. It's a combo tailor-made for far right-wing outrage. But many of them have so quickly forgotten how close this guy came to becoming a right-wing hero earlier this year. Last week, Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, unceremoniously announced Baker's firing in a post, quote, "In light of concerns about Baker's possible role in suppression of information important to the public dialogue, he was exited from Twitter today." It's not clear what those concerns are, but independent journalist Matt Taibbi told the Wall Street Journal that Baker was in charge of vetting internal documents given to Taibbi and another journalist who Musk has tasked with sharing selectively chosen details about Twitter's inner workings when it came to things like the handling of the Hunter Biden laptop and information dumps dubbed the Twitter files. Information that Musk says points to a history of bias at Twitter in favor of Democrats when it came to moderating content. With Baker's name coming so prominently to the forefront of the Twitter files, the far right-wing media has raged against Baker as one of the main ringleaders in a conspiracy to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story before the 2020 election.
Maybe the real insurance policy was later Jim Baker in 2020 helping Twitter keep that information from the American people. I don't know, but we need to get to the bottom of all this.
The searches were blocked by Jim Baker, former FBI general counsel who was involved back in the early days of the Russiagate probe. He was quietly hired by Twitter. Elon Musk discovers this and sends him packing.
Jim Baker, if he isn't at the FBI screwing with us, he's at CNN, where he was a contributor, and then he goes to Twitter up until last Sunday. What is with that guy?
Fox News has even gone after Baker's wife with this headline, quote, "Ex-Twitter counsel James Baker's wife registered voters for Hillary Clinton in 2016, posts reveal." Now, what's really peculiar about this sudden hatred for Jim Baker is that the right-leaning media and politicians were all rooting for him earlier this year when he was John Durham's star witness against Democratic fundraiser and Hillary Clinton campaign manager Michael Sussman as part of Durham's inquiry into potential wrongdoing during the Trump-Russia probe. They keep referring to Baker as the former FBI guy, and well, what they're ignoring is that Baker was the heart of John Durham's case that Sussman lied to the FBI. In that case, he testified that he was, quote, 100% confident that Michael Sussman said he wasn't acting on behalf of any clients when he gave the FBI information weeks before the 2016 presidential election about an alleged link between the Trump organization and a Russian bank. And now, this guy is suddenly the FBI guy who is actively rooting against Trump and Republicans. Now, Sussman was found not guilty, but Baker was the heart of the case. Everyone is so busy piling on to Baker as a way to somehow prove their narrative that Twitter, pre-Elon Musk, was out to get Republicans, that they forget to mention that just months ago, they were seemingly cheering this guy on. Joining me now is Josh Gerstein, senior legal affairs reporter for Politico. He covered Baker's testimony in the Sussman trial. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so, let's first talk about what happened in the trial, and then I want to talk about the villainization. Talk about Jim Baker's role in John Durham's prosecution of Democrat Michael Sussman.
Well, Baker was the crux of the case, Dan, as you're suggesting. I think I've said previously on your program that I thought it was a weak case that Durham had and was pursuing for sort of dubious reasons that didn't really come out during the course of the trial. But setting that aside, the only solid thing that John Durham had in that case against Michael Sussman was the testimony from Jim Baker. It wasn't perfect by any means, but, like you said, he's a reputable guy late in his career, saying he's 100% confident that this is what Sussman told him, that when he brought this information forward, he wasn't acting on behalf of any client. And he turned out to be corroborated by a text message that wasn't available or wasn't found at the time of the indictment, but turned up shortly before the trial, in which Sussman had said the same thing. So this was a central pillar of the case, and in my view was the strongest thing that Durham had going for him at that trial.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.